All right, welcome to VOP today. Welcome to VOP, and this is Political Voice. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, on Political Voice today, we've heard some folks say rather rhetorically that an examination may not necessarily be the true test of a student's knowledge. Now, that may be true, but only to a limited degree, if I must say. Ours, by design or accident, has become a heavily certificated society. Now, this means that one's relevance, employability, and mobility depend largely on the level of value one is able to offer. Little wonder then that parents, children, and everyone usually calibrate their growth in life by the level of schooling that they have obtained. All of this is to say, it was perhaps not the best news yesterday for those it affected when the West African Examination Council, WAEC, announced that it had withheld the results of a whopping 200,000 plus candidates. On Monday, the West African Examination Council, WAEC, announced the release of the results of the 2023 West African Senior School Certificate Examination for schools candidates. The examination body said out of the over 1 million, that's 1,613,733 candidates that sat for the examination, the results of 262,803 candidates are being withheld due to reports of cases of examination malpractice. Meanwhile, Aragon announced an improvement in the pass rate of candidates as a total of 1,361,608 candidates, representing 84.38% obtained credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, with or without English language or mathematics. Also, 1.3 million candidates, representing 79.81% of the total candidates, obtained credits and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics. The release of the 2023 results would offer a ray of hope for candidates seeking admission into tertiary institutions. But how about those who, as we say, didn't make it? How about them? What could they do next? What would they do next? That's the question on my mind. And I'm sure that's a question on the minds of a lot of other Nigerians. Oh well, to talk about this and a whole lot more, I have with me an author, social affairs commentator, Mr. Tochukwu Ezokama. Good to have you with us in the studio.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Now, when you heard this news about students' results being withheld, a little over 200,000, that's a large number. That's a little too much, if I must say. And the reason given is a suspicion of examination malpractice. How did that make you feel?
Well, WAEC has been in the habit of withholding results of students they considered suspicious. Maybe their work seemed just suspicious to them. So it's not new, but the proportion, this time, the number is staggering. I mean, in relation to the number of people that took the exam, that was quite a significant number to be withheld. But they are doing what they have to do. But why is the society? Our value systems changed over time. People started expecting reward without work. People want to harvest without plowing. But that's the system, that's the society. There's no more merit in the system. Before there was merit in the system, people got rewarded because they worked hard. People got rewarded because they made the necessary sacrifice. But these days, our leaders has shown us, because the leaders, for the most part, shape the system. The masses just follow. Our leaders has shown us that it's the foolish, the helpless and ignorant that work for their money, that the knowledgeable, the sophisticated, get their money by pressing the right buttons, knowing the right people, telling the right lies, and projecting the right image. So that has permeated the society. So we're all looking for something for nothing. So that's why students these days want to pass without studying for it.
Now, the head of Nigeria office of WAEC, Patrick Regan, said there's been an improvement in, and I see you chuckle there, there's been an improvement in the pass rate of candidates. He said out of the 1,300,000 and out of the total number of 1,361,608 candidates, representing 84.38%, obtained credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, with or without English. And also 1.3 million candidates, representing 79%, representing a total of, had credit as well with English and maths. This is an improvement from 2022. What do you see this as an improvement?
Well, improvement, well, it's an improvement, but improvement as compared to when, and okay, because if you compare WAEC of the 60s and 70s to the WAEC of today, the standards have dropped dramatically. But if you was just comparing one low standard and another low standard, then of course there's been an improvement from 2002 to 2023. But the improvement is very marginal. So I don't know what you attribute this to, but it's not dramatic in any way. It's about difference of 3%, 4%. Okay, so yeah, there's an improvement, and let's applaud WAEC for the improvement. But overall, things are getting worse. Things are getting bad. Because I was in elementary 6 before the war, but my senior brother was in secondary school class 2. And he did not only read his textbooks, he bought other books to read. He wanted to learn. He studied French in school, secondary school, and he was always tuned to Radio France, Radio Cameroons, to hear news in French, to better his knowledge of French. So those days, students wanted to learn. They wanted to be thoroughly educated. But after the war, what we saw is that people started reading just to pass their exams. And now in Nigeria, people wish they can pass their exams without even reading at all, without studying at all. So the standards, societal standards, keep depreciating. And our value system keeps getting warped and warped. So the problem is society has very little to do with the students, because now you have what we call special centers, where the students go, the invigilators give them all the answers, and they pass and have all A's, but not having the knowledge of that we should have given them even a C. So it's the system, it's the society.
Okay, now let's look at the society in this regard now. The same head of Nigeria office listed a few challenges that they had prior to the examination. In some places, papers got there late. They had little expenses. He listed some of the things as the cashless policy being one of the problems that they faced. He also did say that the fuel scarcity affected movement of materials from one point to another. Now, he also said that they were kidnapped. A bus conveying WAEC materials was kidnapped at Okigwe on the road to Enugu. The bus was abducted and then stolen, driven away, and only for them to find it 2 days after, but with materials inside. Maybe the robbers didn't know that it was carrying papers, or maybe there was something else, but they found materials inside. But they had gone on to print to print other materials, basically discarding the ones that were contained. Now, how would you say this would have affected the examination, the conduct of the examination? Let's look at the conduct of it now, before we now talk about the students not living up to par. The conduct of the examination. These instances given, how would you say it's probably affected the conduct of the examination?
Well, the instances given is not not across the board issue. Those are localized issues. So it's something that happened in 0.5% of the examination centers. So you can't generalize based on that. There might be certain government policies that might affect a WAEC or this year or next year. But overall, things have gone bad. There's the preparedness, because people are not ready to make sacrifice. People are looking for something that gives them immediate gratification. So people are not committed to their work. So those are factors that affect the overall performance of WAEC. Isolated cases like kidnapping of stealing of a bus, those are beyond WAEC. Those are security issues and couldn't have affected the whole general exam in Nigeria, So making such excuses don't impress me. The problems are there. The problems remain there. There are maybe a few local or peculiar issues that might compound the problem, but it doesn't make a big difference. INEC, the standards are deteriorating, period. Standards in Nigeria.
Is it standards of WAEC or educational standards now?
Well, maybe WAEC retains. I think it's still the same thing they teach. I think it's the same thing they teach.
Because they have past questions.
I think that standard remains. But when the teachers are not concerned, so in the past in Nigeria, we took pride in the quality or qualities of our product. You go to a mechanic, he services your car. He listens to the sound of your car. He feels good. I did a good job. A tailor tells your clothes. And when you wear in the fitting room, as you wait and it falls in perfectly on you, he derives some joy and pride from it. But these days, these things are not there. The mechanic wants to steal your money, lie to you as much as he can. And the outcome, the product of his job is irrelevant. Okay? The tailor too wants to fleece you, and so on and so forth. So in the past, we had teachers who were content, not with a lot of money, but they were comfortable. And those days, schools were built, and the teachers' quarters were built around them. So they didn't have to labor so much
to get to
class, and maybe they didn't pay rent. So they were more comfortable, and they were focused. They were not obsessed with money. They felt comfort. They were in love with their profession, and they were proud of their products. So they got into the class, and they taught, committed to their job, and they taught the students with all their hearts, with all their minds. And if additional lessons were required, they scheduled additional lessons, maybe in the evenings, even on weekends, to make sure that these students come out. Those days we used to say in flying colors, okay? But these days you don't have things like that. A teacher is unhappy because he has no car. A teacher is unhappy because his mates who dropped out of secondary school, he was better than them in the class. He was making all A's and they were making F's. Now they are rich, they drive expensive cars, they don't have a car. And the society too rubs it in your face. Before, the society had respect for people who were making contributions to the society, to the community, even if these contributions were not monetary, okay? So you were a teacher, people respected you. But now you're a teacher, nobody cares about you. It's how much are you bringing? So it's So the standards of WAEC may remain the same, but the the commitment to the teachers to their work depreciated, and the preparedness of the students depreciated, because the students now, some of them don't see the importance of education. Many rich guys did not go to school. Yahoo guys didn't go to school. The traders did not go to school.
So you think it's a societal thing now?
It's society, and the parents in the past will insist, you must do your work, you must pass. But these days, the parents will say, it's good to do your work, but if you see another way to cut it, exploit, you know. So overall, people lost interest in education. You hear of a teacher who punishes a student. The student goes back home, reports to his father, who is a custom officer. The father sends custom men to school to lay the teacher on the table and flog him. In my days, it was unthinkable. You see, my nephew was telling me that a teacher beat him up in school. He went and called his mom, and his mom went to fight the teacher. In my days, it was intolerable. It couldn't have happened. So people lost respect.
What changed?
What changed?
Yes. What changed, really?
I talked about what changed over the years. Military rule changed everything. The soldiers are financially reckless. The soldiers are hedonistic. The soldiers, in those days in Enugu, for example, soldiers, I know some people who went getting young ladies for them, because a colonel will not go out in the street and be looking for girls. So there were some young men, some of them dropout, some of them semi-criminals, who bought them marijuana and brought women to them. And you'd be surprised, they were rewarded with contracts. So a man who dropped out of school now owns a Mercedes-Benz, lives in a big house, because he associated with the right people, served their interest. But those that worked hard at driving, those days they could drive 505 Beetle, live in a flat. So if you're a father and you're advising your children, you tell them hard work is very important, work hard. But if on the other hand, you see a way to make friends with the right people, press the right buttons, tell the right lies, run the right errands, and strike it big, exploit, okay? So it's the soldiers that changed their mindset. There was no more merit. It's no more how education I saw a youth copper being beaten up by two policemen. And as we stopped, the youth copper, the policeman finally said, I'll hand him over to you. He thought I was a lawyer. The law, okay, I'll hand this youth copper over to you. And as we got into the car, I was talking to the youth copper that during my days, a policeman will salute a youth copper, because there was premium placed on knowledge, education. A youth copper means you have a degree and you're serving your country. But these days, it's all about power, raw power. It's all about money. So a youth copper, I don't know what they are. Those days, they were respected because of their knowledge, their education, and their potential. But these days, who cares? It's about how many are you bringing, how much power do you have. So the society changed, emphasis shifted from knowledge, decency, merit, to raw power and cash money.
Raw power and cash money. Now, we've seen this also play out, and we've seen parents, we've seen the rise of special centers. You know, it's one thing to have expos. It's another thing to have a coordinated organization give you expo or gather students in a particular center and say, look, we will ensure that you get admitted, you get the results, you get the grades needed for your admission into whatever. In fact, it used to be, I think they still do this, it used to be part of the things they advertise. Like, this center, all A's are guaranteed. You know, you see it on banners.
Shouldn't that send somebody to jail?
Exactly.
So that's the society. You don't care.
And then parents will tell their children, go look for centers that you know, where you sit for the exams in those centers, you will pass.
Okay.
And they know they are paying a little extra than they would have paid if they were attending the usual classes.
Yes.
But they don't mind because there's a guarantee. Now, what does this say to corruption?
Corruption.
Charity, they say, begins at home.
Let me digress.
As it is, corruption now seems to be,
Let
begins
me
from home as
digress
well.
a little. A bunch of high school students killed their teacher's husband. They had a gun when the teacher was a young lady just out of university, about 22, 23. So she was almost blended in with her students who were 17, 18. And she kept telling them about how mean her husband was to her. So one day these students, maybe to protect their teacher, went and shot the husband. The boy that shot the man, the father took the gun, took the boy, handed him over to the police, okay? Because he can trust the system.
When was this?
Well, in the US or not in Nigeria, cannot be in Nigeria. So because he can trust the system. In the system, whether the offender is the president's son, the governor's son, senator's son, justice will take his course. But in a place like this, there's class distinction. So with a phone call, the police releases the senator's son, and if he does not, his job might be endangered. So the poor man's son suffers the brunt of the law. So when the system, when the law is not universal, when we are not equal before the law, then it ceases to be a law. It becomes an oppressive system designed to oppress the poor. And who wants to be oppressed? Who will willingly acquiesce to oppression? So nobody wants that. So the children of the elite get away with so much. Why wouldn't you pay so that your own child will have some of the benefits? Okay? So if the system is man, no man, and you don't know man, if your money will get you in that league of giving some special assistance, guaranteeing all A's for your child, why would you not do it? So it goes back to the system where merit does not count. It's about who you know, what buttons you can press. In my time, for example, students can do expo, but your father dare not know it. You can cut corners, okay? Students will always want to cheat because they want to pass exam in every generation, in every country of the world. But when it becomes institutionalized, when it is recognized, when there's a systematic, methodical approach to this cheating, when I call it institutionalized, because the teachers, the principals become a part of it, then that's when it's so dangerous. But when is that a child copied something? So if this comes out, let me, if a child is trying to pass and is cutting corners, then it's an aberration, okay? But when is it then a way of life? That's where it becomes dangerous. So the children that supposedly cheated or did expo are villains as well as victims because the society taught them that. And maybe their parents encouraged it. And maybe they know that teachers encourage it if you give them money. So to them, they are just doing what they consider right. So they are victims.
They are victims and villains at the same time.
Yes, because they did something wrong. Yes.
Now, this is one would think the emphasis we place on Maths and English to get into Maths and English, and then maybe any other three that you pass to get your course of study. Isn't it high time we stopped and placed emphasis on something else? Maybe technicalities, technical subjects, as a way of making, being more creative, being manufacturers, as against just scoring, Maths and English.
Yes, in your introduction, you talked about our emphasis. No, you said examinations may not be a true test of knowledge. You said something like that.
Yes.
I'm not quoting you verbatim. Yes, examination may not be a true test of knowledge, but what other better test of knowledge do you have? I mean, in a class, in a school setting, you've taught somebody for 4 months, 6 months. How do you know whether he has grasped what you taught him? He must require an exam.
Okay.
I remember when I was in nursery school, we couldn't write. So we had exams, verbal.
You remember?
Yes.
You remember?
When I was in nursery school, yes.
You actually have knowledge of you in nursery school.
Even way before then, yeah, my memory goes far back.
Oh my.
So they asked us simple questions. Who is or was the mother of Jesus Christ? Because we couldn't write Mary. And the father. And basic things, but there was still an examination, even for those that could not write. It was verbal. So while it's not a test may not be a test of knowledge, there's no other test or better test than education. And while certificates may not be a wonderful test of knowledge or capability, it's still a very important form of test of what you've been able to do over the years, okay? And then mathematics and English are necessary because I think I was talking to somebody, I don't remember who, that if you study physics, you can't go on the street talking physics. You can't go on the street talking chemistry, nuclear physics, even medicine and law. People will think you've gone insane. So in the final analysis, all you do is communicate, speak simple, correct English, and write simple, correct English. That's the beginning and end of education. I mean, in our everyday world, you can get into your office and write some formula on computerization, on nuclear physics, bomb you're designing to blow up the whole world. But on the street, you only communicate. And then mathematics is like the foundation of all courses. Well, you can't get that far if you can't compute money. I gave him 100 naira. He has to give me back 50 naira. If you don't know that, there's basically nothing you can do. So the emphasis might be a little too much, but then the knowledge of those two subjects are very, very important. So I don't see anything wrong with that emphasis, but what I see in Nigerian educational system is rigidity, undue rigidity, because somebody has passed history, geography, economics, and you said you did not credit English, therefore you won't go to the next step. But he didn't write his English, his geography in the vernacular. The history wasn't in vernacular, so he knows enough English to move on. Somebody wants to do a second degree. This is personal experience. I don't remember the exact word. He said he did not credit chemistry in his own level, but the person already has a degree. So give him for a second degree. What was crediting chemistry? All levels have to do with a second degree for somebody who has a degree already. So there's the regimentation boggles the mind. But then I think because it's lack of facilities, we don't have opportunities. So when there are opportunities and some of these schools are even looking for students, then we might start relaxing some of those rules. But I think that English and mathematics should be central in in our educational process.
All right. So, talking about the kind of education, the system of education that we currently are exploring in the country, do you think it is fit for purpose, fit for the purpose of developing, building, leaders, building a country that is entrenched in manufacturing, in production? Our kind of education, is it fit for that purpose?
Of course.
It is.
I mean, all the professions, all the subjects are improving, okay? But there's no way you go to study mathematics and not study calculus, dy dx is equal to. there may have been subsequent improvements, but there are some foundations. I mean, you can't go to study mathematics without counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and so on and so on. So I think our education, what is warped in the system is the mindset, not the education. The mindset that I have to build a house, have money, show off in my village, have titles to be recognized. A man was telling me about how his mother was blessing him. An estate surveyor, he buys his mother this, he buys his mother that, and the mother was blessing him, praying for him. And I asked him, what of if you, for example, had gone into the village where there's no light, no water, no food, and people are dying from basic illnesses that can be prevented and can be readily treated, and take your money there to help those people? Would your mother have blessed you? So there's this element of me in the system. So okay. People are not sacrificial. People are not committed. People want, our definition of success is very narrow. You have make money, build a house, get married, have a house in your village, be a chief. Your boys will be hailing you, Babake, Baba, okay? But we don't emphasize. Some medical doctors leave France and join a group they call Doctors Without Borders and go around the world treating people. Nigerian doctor will not do it because of the prestige inherent in being a doctor in Nigeria. He wants to be a doctor. He wants to sit in an air-conditioned room, wear a pair of suits and a desk before him and do nothing but be hailed as a big man. A certain lady returned from the US. She had issues with people she worked with because people come to attend to them. His colleagues say, why are you attending to them that fast? They would think the job we are doing here is very easy. So you relax, you waste their time, they wait for you for 2 hours. And when they come in, you only have 5 minutes to talk to them. You're rude and brisk in the way you talk to them because you're a big man. They say, no, I can't do that. If you come, I'm free, come in. And I'll attend to you, answer all your questions. That's the system. So you have to be a big man. And the attempt to be a big man is the problem. So we don't emphasize the right things. We don't follow our passion. We are not committed to anything. We are not ready to make sacrifice for anything. It's just to be acknowledged by the society as a big man. So that's where the problem is. Not, the innovation, I don't remember the exact word, manufacturing, is creativity, it's inspiration. It comes to you. So once you have basic education, some outstanding writers do not have PhD in English, okay? Because writing is inspiration. Music is inspiration. Creativity is inspiration. Everybody Koko said, Mom, the spirit, no, Sadebe said, Mom, the spirits from the water are telling me what to sing. Everybody Koko said, God gives me the music to play. Michael Jackson said, I don't even understand this now about composing music. I think it's spiritual, I think it's heavenly. So they come, okay? But when they come, what do you do with it? Like Michael Jackson said, the greatest sin I'll commit is to refuse to use the talents God has given me to serve humanity. So in Nigeria, we're not prepared to use some of our talents to serve humanity. We want to use it to be big man, and that's where the problem comes. So if we are committed, we are dedicated, we want to make the sacrifice in serving humanity, we'll get a lot of job done. But what we are concerned is being babake. You see, it takes us nowhere. So that's what the issue is.
Now, in moving forward, 1 million, 1.6, a little over 1.6 million sat for an examination. 200, a little over 200,000 are having their results withheld. Now, parents are already complaining as to how much they spend on these examinations.
On the special centers.
You know, even registering for WAEC is a lot of money.
Yes.
So parents are complaining as to how much they spend. And, you know, when we have this number of people writing examination, even those that pass, tend to wait to get admission. Schools are having issues taking people in because of strikes and all of that. Those that are in schools are having issues graduating from schools. There seems to be an institutional problem. What is the way forward?
Well,
What would
first
your
of all,
advice be?
WAEC exams shouldn't be expensive, especially when
I also want to ask,
when python swallow the money in the end. Okay. So parents go to farms, cultivate yam, vegetables, and sell, pluck mangoes and oranges and sell and make a little money to pay for WAEC, which is usually very expensive. And one python from nowhere swallows something, whole thing, and nobody gets punished, nobody gets prosecuted. So the WAEC fees should be reduced to start with. Nigeria is a relatively poor country, so the average Nigerian is not rich. So we should encourage access, and there's a need to encourage access to education. And when you make education very expensive, you're undermining accessibility to education. So I don't know what they pay, but I think in some states it's higher. State governments add to it or reduce it. To say, I know subsidize is
some state governments
subsidize. Okay.
WAEC fees.
It should be. It shouldn't be more than 10 naira. 10.
1,000 naira, you mean to say?
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 naira. I mean, they shouldn't be profit. They shouldn't be profit motivated. What is happening that is after WAEC run these exams, they still have a lot of profits that run into billions. It should not be. Let the money offset the cost of the exam. That's why they are civil servants, and the government is motivated by social good, not profit. You know, so it's very expensive. If parents pay for their children and arrange expo for their children, then whatever they get, they should take.
But unfortunately, it's not just the parents that get it. The society are the ones that bear the brunt much later.
Everybody bears the brunt, starting with parents. So if the fees for WAEC is 40,000 naira, for example, and you eke out this 40,000 naira and pay for the exams, and then your ward or your child gets in there and do expo and get into trouble, I sympathize with such parents. But if the fee for the exam is 40,000 and you add another 20,000 to ensure expo so that your child gets all A's and then you get into trouble, I have no sympathy for such a parent. Yes.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for that. We'll be going into our second topic for today. Now, the leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, will reconvene on Thursday to discuss the crisis in Niger Republic. ECOWAS made the announcement yesterday, which was Monday, a day after its deadline to the military junta in Niger to reinstate the ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and also the Chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the ECOWAS, will be considering and discussing the political situation and recent developments in Niger during the summit. Now, the summit will hold in Abuja, the ECOWAS headquarters. The meeting comes amid uncertainty about the bloc's possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger. Now, we will stay with this one, and let's not forget that some analysts say any military invasion by ECOWAS in Niger will snowball into a full-scale war, especially as Burkina Faso and Mali have backed the coup. Burkina Faso and Mali have warned that they will take up arms in self-defense if there are any foreign interventions in the landlocked West African country. As the deadline approached on Sunday, thousands of supporters of the military junta in Niger gathered at a stadium, and they were showing their support for the regime that have seized power. But we also have our Northern Senators Forum who have asked the president of Nigeria and the chairman of ECOWAS to exhaust all diplomatic means in resolving the crisis in Niger before considering war. We also do know that some states in Nigeria share common border with Niger. We have Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, Zamfara, Jigawa, Yobe, and Borno. These states share a border. So there's this fear that if ECOWAS carries out its threat to unleash terror, to compel the junta to reinstate the democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, and there is fighting, it will affect Nigerians in these states. What's your take on this?
Well, I don't think that the ECOWAS country really want to fight in Niger. I think it's all brinkmanship. And for some strange, or well, not strange reason, for some understandable reason, is Nigeria is championing this fight against Niger. But I think it will be the height of recklessness. It might border on suicide for the Nigerian president to invade. That is recklessness bordering on suicide for Nigerian government to invade Niger. Nigeria is a more powerful. Well, for one reason, we have no business doing it. We have no legitimate right to invade another country over their internal affairs. What is happening in Niger is the problem of the people of Niger. It has absolutely nothing to do with
You're not of the opinion that Niger is really close to Nigeria.
Yes.
And if Nigeria doesn't say anything and allows the coupists to remain in office, that might excite some military officers in Nigeria and encourage them to stage a coup as well. You don't share that opinion?
Okay, you say if they don't say anything, we have said a lot of things already.
No, by saying anything, I mean take action.
No,
decisive
you
action.
can't take
Maybe
action
military
for
action.
For one thing, you have no moral justification for military action. For another thing, Nigeria is a more powerful country than Niger. But the rot in the system, the rot in our military, the corruption in our military, the disenchantment in our military, I don't see Nigeria defeating Niger in a war, even in a protracted war of 10 years. So let them not try it.
You don't see let me understand your statement. Niger is a poor country. Nigeria is a lot more powerful than Niger. That's what you said. In the next few years, if this goes into war, you don't see Nigeria defeating Niger.
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
No war is fought in isolation. Other countries will get involved. So a number of countries are beginning to line up to support Niger in case of an attack from Nigeria or ECOWAS. So they will be propped up by something. And in wars, what is important in wars? There are a number of things important in wars. Wealth is important, population size, strategic doctrine, but most importantly, morale. Okay? That's why there's a lot of propaganda in wars. So you tell these people that they are fighting for a worthy cause. Okay? And that is more important, that is very central. The mindset of the soldier in the battlefield, the cultural skill of the soldiers in the battlefield, and with the mood of Nigerians, no amount of propaganda will whip that sentiment that resolve, that determination. I don't mind dying for this cause. Because Nigerians are embittered. Nigerians are disenchanted with the system. That is the Nigerian masses. The average soldier is not happy with the way things are going. And there is rot. The system is decaying. The system is teetering at the brink of a collapse. Apart from an economic collapse, there's been a moral and ethical collapse in Nigeria already. And the economy, the country teeters on at the brink of an economic collapse. And to go to war at this time will be very devastating to Nigeria as a country. Just as the war, well, let me not get into that, will be very devastating. We have so much to grapple with internally that if this administration, this federal administration is for real, they should turn inwards and deal with our so many bedeviling, bewildering, complex, seemingly intractable problems that we have in this country. So if they go beyond that, it will be suicidal. The issue with coups, triggering coups are like coups, there are enabling environment for coups. And if the enabling environment is not there, no coup will succeed. There's an enabling environment for coup in Nigeria presently. And that's what this administration should address. If they do not address it, the coup will come, whether there's one in Niger, successful or unsuccessful one in Niger, Cameroon, Ghana, irrespective of what is happening geopolitically in West Africa, there will be coup in Nigeria if we don't sort things out internally.
All right, now let's look at, well, as it is, Nigeria is only speaking on behalf of ECOWAS because the president of Nigeria is the chairman of ECOWAS. Now let's look at what the perception is right now. ECOWAS gave an ultimatum. After the ultimatum, a day after, ECOWAS said, okay, you didn't align with us, we will meet again 3 days after, Thursday. Now, doesn't that make it... Now, while all of this is going on, the regime that had the junta that had taken over in Niger closed their airspace in Niamey. While, of course, they're getting support from other countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Algeria, and the rest of them. Now, how would you rate the perception of ECOWAS?
The way people see ECOWAS.
The way Nigerians and the world now will perceive ECOWAS. After you gave an ultimatum, nothing was done. You didn't carry out a decisive action immediately, which was what you said you were going to do. But now you're giving another 3-4 days to sit down and talk again.
Well, ECOWAS is an organization dominated by political jokers, political jobbers, electors. Apart from Ghana and Senegal, there's no real democracy in West Africa. It's all about breaching the constitution. It's all about electoral fraud. It's all about rigging elections. It's all about corruption. And so when you have this moral baggage, you will lack the moral authority. So you can only back, but you cannot bite. So I think overall, ECOWAS will be discredited. People will see ECOWAS for what it really is. A man like our president can't get much done. The man in Niger has stated it succinctly. Don't talk to me. Don't tell me what to do. You lack legitimacy. You don't have, you can't tell me what to do because we keep talking about coups, military coups. What of civilian coups? That was what took place in this country. So a court, like I said earlier, kettle cannot call black, kettle cannot call pot black. So ECOWAS can't get anything done. They lack legitimacy for the most part. There's not been cleaner.
And they shouldn't be bothered about their perception.
They are bothered, but it's
stage.
like a thief bothering about his perception. And you stop stealing, people consider you a thief. So if they stop rigging elections, if they start respecting the will of the people, then their image will change. This lady, the one that was at NAFDAC, Dora Akunyele, as information minister, which was the wrong job for her. She shouldn't have gone into information, because information is image making. Information is a place for, well, she went there and she started talking about, there was a program she came up with.
Changing the national anthem.
National image.
National image,
I was
yes.
about, there was something they called it, rebranding. No, I don't remember what
it has something to do with rebranding Nigeria and changing the
image of Nigeria.
Rebranding the image
and
of
I
Nigeria.
thought, I thought it was,
the use of Niger and
I thought it was comical, because your image is determined by your behavior. So if Nigerians sell drugs overseas, Nigerians have this bad rep everywhere. Like one professor from Mozambique said, Nigerians have low morals. I was a mortgage banker in the US, and I was talking to somebody from Cameroon. Get some of these your Cameroonians who want to buy homes. I'll do their loans for them. Say, hey, Cameroonians are afraid of Nigerians. They think every Nigerian is a crook. Even they are surprised that I'm dealing with a Nigerian. So we have that bad image. And the image did not bloom out of a void. It came from somewhere. Over the years, Nigerians proved that we are not very honest people. We can do anything for money. We just created this bad image. And the image will remain until we change our ways. So for the ECOWAS leaders, already they have a bad rep. Some of them want to overstay in office. Some of them have overstayed in office. Some of them rigged their way into power. Some of them foisted themselves on people one way or the other. So the bad perception is there already. They are only compounding what is there. If they want a better image, they better change their ways.
Now let's look at this image thing as we wrap up. The image of Nigeria, perceived image rather, of Nigeria, because we have good Nigerians as well.
Yes.
We have those that are tainting the name of the country. We have those that are uplifting the name of the country and themselves. So a school of thought will say it is Nigerians that are propagating the bad image as against, it's basically Nigerians telling the world we are bad. Because China is not any better in terms of corruption, crime, and doing business terribly. China is known for producing substandard goods. China is known for a lot of negative things, but you don't hear Chinese people say we are a corrupt nation, a nation, embedded in corruption. You don't hear Chinese people say that. But Nigerians are quick to castigate Nigeria, especially before the rest of the world.
There's nothing wrong with castigating yourself across the world. They say that you don't wash your dirty linens in the open. And some people say you can wash your dirty linens in the open. One country that has consistently washed her dirty linens in the open is the US. And that's why it remains what it is, the greatest country in the world. The Soviet Union tried not to wash their image, their dirty linen in the open. It imploded. There was a lot of secrecy. There was a lot of falsehood, false image projection. And where did that lead them to? The system imploded. So the thing with the Chinese is that the average is, I used to publish a magazine, and one a lawyer came to advertise in my magazine, and he told me I work with the immigrations, the US immigration. But why are Nigerians always having problems? That even when a Nigerian has done everything right, presented all the papers, that there's still this undue scrutiny scrutiny on everything a Nigerian does. Why is it so? I said, I don't know. So the people have this general impression. A lady was coming into the U.S. She said he has big breast, and an immigration of custom officer was pressing her. Is this all you? Where are you coming from? Are you from Lagos? Are you from Lagos? The more she said,
That's harassment.
yeah, there might be minor harassments here and there, but that's way of life. That's life. But the thing is that Nigerians are the disproportionate. Nigerians have a bad reputation, and Nigerians can be crooked. Nigerians are obsessed with money, making money at all costs, and that can be drug trafficking.
I use an example of China now.
Okay, in China, the issue is different.
Why? They make money at all costs. They do things that could endanger lives. We've seen videos on social media.
Those are corporate issues.
We've seen corporate issues.
Yeah, no. And the average Chinese arriving at an airport does not elicit much suspicion like the average Nigerian.
But we see them do shady deals in countries, especially here in Nigeria.
That's the thing. They do shady deals, but maybe the average Chinese is not considered a drug dealer. Okay, but when they do their deals, maybe it's shady at the corporate level. But I cannot speak for the whole world. But what I know is that Nigeria has a bad reputation. The Indians, the Lebanese, the Chinese are unscrupulous businessmen, but maybe not on a personal level. They don't have that kind of image. Why Nigerians have their image the way it is, I may not have all the answers, but my very limited knowledge tells me that the Nigerians have a bad reputation, and it's not because of hatred or discrimination, it's because of the way they have behaved over the decades.
So what's the way forward now? What can we do differently?
In Nigeria.
Yeah. Let's not forget that we're talking about ECOWAS, Nigeria playing its role in ECOWAS as it concerns the trouble in Niger. Let's marry this together as you give
Nigeria, we should get our internal affairs right. If we get our system working right, the economy functioning, our politicians respecting the legitimate rights of the people, then there will not be a coup in Nigeria. So all this worry about Niger being so close and the political problems of Niger spilling over into Nigeria will not be necessary, and our president will relax. He won't be so overly obsessed about the coup in Niger. But the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's the internal affairs of the people of Niger. Leave them alone to sort themselves out. Countries evolve politically, countries evolve economically, technologically. Outsiders might help you, but finally, it's you that work it out. It's you that get your country becoming what you want it to be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tochukwu Ezukama, who is an author and a public affairs commentator. I must appreciate you for coming on the program. All right, that's the show for today. That's it for today. Political Voice will make a return, same time, tomorrow. I am Moses Humphrey. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us and let us know what you think about issues that we have shared so far. Bye for now.